Hello, y'all on YouTube. This is Rob with Rob's Nerdy Knives. Today we have a review impressions of a cool knife. Two cool knives, actually, that was given to me by Molsect Knives. All right, so they gave these to the channel for free. Full disclosure, I did not pay for these. They'd asked me to check out a couple of knives, and I gave my first unboxing impressions of the knife, which were my honest opinion. I gave some suggestions and stuff like that. And you know, they replied really nicely. So yeah, let's talk about this and let's review these two knives. All right, so today we're looking at two knives from Molsect Knives, a new company, just started making knives. These are their first attempts of making knives. So, you know, I take brand new companies, you know, understanding it's a journey many times as you come to make knives. Either you start off strong and you continue to develop and reply and modify and get better, or you start off and you just throw out a product and that's it. And you just say, there you go. So one of the two things, one turns into either you have some crazy, ridiculous amount of inventory and ridiculously low prices and your costs are next to nothing and you probably just sell a bunch, but you likely aren't going to be, you know, a growing company in that realm unless you're just making cheap knives continuously, right? And people go there because it's ultimately the super cheapest knife. You don't get people from the knife community to jump on top of you, right? Or you're going to be a new company who comes out with a great banger of a value. And you know, you have some rough edges, but you work on those. And I feel like this is what we got here. We got a company that's brand new and that's really working with the people. So I just want to share with you. So first of all, we have two ones. This is the Coastline. This is the Jungle. That's the two knives. Both G10, as you can see. This one's a flipper. This is actually my favorite one right here, right? I like this one the best. It's the best feel, the ergonomics, the look of this one is my favorite. This is a great knife too. This feels like just a really beefy, giant banger of a knife, right? You can see two different sizes, very, very different in many regards. So, you know, when we talk about knives, we usually go through our review and our process, right? So, all right, so we talk about the knife name. The knife name, I told you, it's the Jungle, the Coastline. Those are the two. The manufacturer is Molsect Knives. They are their own OEM. They make knives. They're their own designer. These are in-house designs, right? First design, first attempt. The materials. Both of these are 14C28. Nice. Great budget steel. Love that. Nice black, kind of Cerakoted, I believe it's Cerakoted. Good shape, good size, right? Definitely a nice big blade. Definitely, we'll do some weights and measurements here in a second. The lock type, both of these are liner locks. So liner locks, got liners and G10 scales on top of that. G10 scales on top of that, liner lock as well, as you can see that, right? Then we talk about the G10. It's got some beautiful texturing, which I like. I mean, this is kind of like lizard, dragon kind of scale. That's cool. That's a cool little touch. That's nice for your G10. It's got some nice chamfering. No sharp, harsh edges anywhere, which is really cool for comfort and everything. You got a big old clip here. This one has a little bit more room. I think this one is barely got any room here. And so we actually mentioned that in my unboxing. And Molsect said, you know, that's one thing they're working on, that the clips, right? So they're going to have a little more room in there. That's definitely something they want to do. So, and I think they talked possibly making it reversible. I can't quite remember. I think they said that too. So we'll talk about it in a second, right? Also, it is steel liners. Talked a little bit about weight relief. There's no weight milling in there. I think that's something they might be exploring. Just realize, you know, these knives are incredible deals. Both of these knives right now, if I look over here, they one is $39. The Coastline is like $39.99, so 40 bucks. And the Jungle is $47.99, so 48 bucks. Now, I have a coupon code RNK. If you use that coupon code RNK, you get 10% off. So 10% off the purchase of these knives. So that makes one of them $39 one, $39.99. So it's 40 bucks. So it'll be 36, basically $35.99. Right. And the other one is $47.99. So say 48. So you take $4.80 off of that. So then it's $43.20. So like $43.20. I mean, this puts them into the super budget category as far as I'm concerned. Fantastic, fantastic deals as far as knives, if you're looking for a knife in that budget range. So really great deal for that budget realm. I think, you know, you're getting a lot here. All right, we're going to talk about more of this. But the other thing is we've got thumb studs on this one. Both of them are flippers. We talked about the clip, T8s for here. Got the flathead up here, so you need a flathead screwdriver. That's a little different. They are captive pivots, which I think is cool, very cool. Love captive pivots. You got lanyard loop on this one. Truly a lanyard loop. Over here there's not, but you could make that little standoff a lanyard, I guess, in a way. They come with lanyards in the box itself, so the box has like a little lanyard cord with it. Well, it's a paracord, right? So it's a paracord that comes with it. You get that. What else? It's a flipper. So, all right. So let me talk a little bit about each of the two different things about the materials that we're talking about here. So the first one right here, it has jimping. It doesn't go all the way to the very edge. They did talk about that, and that's something they would try to extend out a little more. One more line of jimping, I think, would go a long way, so you don't have that little slip off that can occur, especially if you're, outside trying to use this knife quickly. It's easy for that to slip off, especially if your finger's wet or something. If you have just a little extra, one extra line, it really goes a long way. I think that would be positive, right? The clip would be a little bit longer. I think that would be another positive as far as that's concerned as well. What else did I mention on this one here? I think that was really my biggest, holdback on this one here. It was that you got great cutaway to your liner lock. You even got a little texture going on right there, which I think is pretty stinking cool. Access is pretty easy. Nice action. I do realize this one has it'd be nice if the detent was just a little bit earlier, right? I mean, you still can clear it, catch it on the thumb, and still drop it. So one-handed operation is very much possible. This one's, as far as I'm concerned, I mean, that's my only thing. The clip and extra line of jimping. And I think that would make this a banger of a knife. It's still a banger of a knife. Don't get me wrong. Let me rephrase that when I say banger of a knife. Okay. So it's a banger of a knife already. I'm going to give you a hint. I think for the price of what you're paying. Okay, remember, I'm not going to expect a Sheargorov. I'm not going to expect a Koenig. I'm not going to expect a Utzler. I'm not going to expect a Skiff Made Works. I'm not going to expect a Brown Knives out of this, right? That's ridiculous. You get this knife because you're looking for a budget knife, either as a gift, either as a beat up banger knife, maybe for your car, your backpack, maybe you're going camping and you don't want to bring a nice knife. Maybe you have it, you're going to go work in the yard. This is the kind of knife I feel like is a work knife, right? This is the kind of knife you want to take with you, and you bang up, you beat up. If you lose it, you're okay. You can buy another one. It's not super expensive. For some people, this may be their first nicer knife that they ever get. And I mean nicer because they bought, gas station knives, the really, really cheap ones where the liner lock doesn't even lock up and the knife is technically dangerous because you can push this and it breaks. This functions like a solid knife. I just got to make sure you understand that. That's the difference between knives that are even cheaper than this, right? You can find some cheaper knives. You really can. But you give up some things, right? So they could have made this a non-captive pivot. They could have made the pivot not say Molsect, right? By the way, they're also going to take this billboarding off right here, which I think makes sense. I mean, I don't mind a Molsect, it's just not so big. Maybe etched in, maybe lasered, I don't know. But maybe a little smaller, something, it could be a little more discreet. You could have your Molsect really small up here. You see how that the 14C28? I don't know if you can see that. I didn't see that at first. I think that's thinking cool. That's brilliant. If you say Molsect over there like that, I mean, that makes this like tactical. Makes it tactical. I like that. I think that would be really cool. I mean, you could even make this darkened, like a black polished, if you want to make this all black out, then it becomes kind of like it becomes like a very tactical kind of knife in the sense of like if you military wanted to use it, right? And somebody, that could be something that could be a tool for them, right? Because you don't want to give identifiers away for somebody who's out serving and protecting our country, right? So anyways, the whole point of this is I think this is, it's close. It's really close. Now, would I pay extra for that? Yes, I would. Right now, like I said, this one is $38 with the $4 off. This makes us $36, $35.99, right? So a $35.99 knife you're talking about right here. That's ridiculous. That's phenomenal, right? So we're going to talk about the price here in a second. But what I'm pointing out is that if you make this clip a little bit deeper, right? Maybe not make it sharp up, maybe a little less of a loop, because you don't have to be that crisp like you do over here, right? You can make that a little smaller. And you take some weight relief, you mill out the inside. That's going to add cost on the CNC machine. It's going to add time and materials, right? And you add another jimping on here. That's a little extra. That's a little more technical, getting that jimping all the way out there. I don't know how much that is on, your program on a CNC. I don't know how much time that is. I don't know if that causes more rejections, more, loss of materials because, you're getting to that point where it could slip, right? My point is these things can add cost. Now, are they significant? Probably not, but they are enough that it may not be $39.99. It now may be a $45, $46, $48 knife, right? Would I pay that for this knife? Absolutely, I would. Put a little extra things like that on. I like the knife already. I love this texture. I love the G10. I love the look of this knife. I mean, it's a beautiful looking knife. It really is a beautiful looking knife. I love the jimping up here. This knife is nice as it is right here. I would feel comfortable with it. If someone didn't absolutely have a big issue with the clip, I mean, this would work, right? This would work. They didn't care that it was a little heavier because there's no weight relief. This is nice. I mean, it has some weight. The problem with the weight relief, your center of balance is right there. So, to really feel it balanced in your hand, you got to hold it back here, and you're going to hold it up here. So it's going to feel a little back heavy, and that's okay. I think for what this tool is, right? So I like this one a lot. This is my size, my ergonomics that I enjoy. Now, here's a knife that's made for way bigger hands. Way bigger ergonomics. Now, if I'm out in the woods and I don't want to carry a giant fixed blade with me, right? If I don't want to have a fixed blade on me, this could be a great tool to carry in the backpack. It's small. It's compact when it's together. You have this, relatively small size compared to a fixed blade. This really is a relatively small size compared to a fixed blade. Beautiful scales. It's got texturing. You got good grips. The clip here is nice. Ironically, these screws over here are more recessed on this clip than they are on this one. These stick out a little bit. Now, if you want recessed screws on a clip, extra cost, right? Just realize that those are extra costs. You have to understand where little things come in. There's no weight relief on the liners. Extra cost. If you want to drop some of the weight there, right? That's extra cost. Likewise, on the flipper over here, the flipper comes pretty close to the edge. Really, really close. It's still a little soft right there, but it's definitely closer to the edge. And you're way up here, so it's a little easier for success. Whereas this one over here, yeah. So you see, you're really right on the edge. You got about this much. Over here, you got quite a bit, and it's more rounded, and it's very easy to slip off. So to me, this one is not as bad. I mean, you put the jimping a little further. Cool. Is it necessary? I don't think so. I think it's fine right now. My biggest thing on this one is a really late clutch on this one. You have to get all the way down here for the clutch to pass it. Now, that could be intentional. Maybe you don't want the big old, because it's a heavy blade, big blade. You don't want it to drop on someone, right? But that's the whole idea. If you're clear the clutch here, you can do that and you can drop it, right? But, if I'm doing this, sometimes if I hit that clutch like that and I try to drop it, it locks back up. And maybe that's not what you want. Is it a big deal? For some people, it may not matter. It may not matter at all. And I get it. I'm just saying that would be a cool little feature, right? Weight relief there. Maybe left and right hand pocket carry. And then just a late clutch. Otherwise, this is pretty brilliant. Oh, yeah, on this one, it's the access to the liner lock. So here it's brilliant. Nice cutout, really beautiful comfort. Very, very, just really nice. I like this one. This one's very good, very good. This one's square. And what it makes for big, meaty hands, it's difficult for me to get my hand in there. Where I can put my round of my hand, I can get in there. This one, I can't. And I made a mention of that. And that's something they're also going to address in future iteration of this. Is it critical? Maybe not. Maybe it's not for you. Maybe you have really, tacky, grippy gloves, and you'll be able to disengage that lock, no problem, right? Maybe you use raw hands and you can get in there, no problem. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. You could tune that detent a little bit, make it just a bit lighter if you wanted to, and you'd probably be fine, right? So those are things you could possibly do. But again, let me point out the fact, for $48, this is $48, yeah, for $48, and with 10% off, you get $4.80 off, so it's $43.20. So for $48, or $43.20 with the RNK code right now, you get a really phenomenal deal here, right? You're getting a really robust knife, 14C28N blade steel. Let me point that out. Nice. I mean, these are pretty decent thumb studs. I like these, nice and round. It's barrel. You could put O-rings. These really do well to put a little O-ring. So if you find that just that one little step right there is not enough, which I find perfectly acceptable, I got to tell you. I mean, from where I'm being guided to open it, perfectly acceptable. But if you wanted to, you could put O-rings on there and they would clear all the way there. And when it closes, it'd be a little quieter when you close it like that. And let me hold on. I'm going to show you what I mean, because I actually have some over here. All right, so these are O-rings I bought off of Amazon. If you're ever interested, these are 006, work a lot on thumb studs really well. These are 20 Duro peroxide cured black O-ring. So the 70 Duro, which means the elasticity and some of the other things that talk about this. So if you're ever interested, you can get those. So when I put these O-rings on there, I mean, do you need to do this? Absolutely not. But I've done this on some of my higher end knives, right? And depending on how deep you want that O-ring to be, you could, you know, you could put it out there. And so it comes down to this. And so it's a little softer, right? You may even like that look of that O-ring, right? Maybe you like the look of that O-ring. So by the way, if you have a sheer Gorf, this is not unusual to get right there, only except sheer Gorf have a beautiful ramp that you get over. This one doesn't. It's not bad because of the weight of the blade. It almost feels like a ramp, right? It's not a terrible detent to get over. So again, this is a nitpick. My suggestions here are what would make this knife go from, that's a really cool knife, great price, yeah, I could use that and abuse that, to, I really like this knife. I want to carry this way more, like my everyday workhorse kind of knife. You know, and I think that's where they want to get to. And I think if they do some of these suggestions, this knife would, I mean, this already is a beautiful design. I like their little Molsect little logo. I think that's cool. T6s, I'm okay with that. You know, understanding there's some physics behind there with T6s. You can ask for T8. Sometimes T8s means that the screw head itself is thin, but it's wide, which means there's less strength in the head of the screw than a T6, where there's more material around where the torque bit goes into. So, I mean, we can get into talk about some of the physics, but it's the strain and where that's why sometimes you'll see some T8s will just their heads will pop off, or they'll strip because the material is thinner. It's not as thick and strong, right? So there's some argument for T6. You know, I do get T6s strip out. So, you know, your best thing, have a good tools. You know, use some good Weha bits, some really nice bits that you can use and feel reliable. All right, so now we talked about the materials. Thumb studs I like, flipper I like. Little weight relief, steel liners, locks up, engage is really great. There's no blade play. There is no pivot lash. The detent, nice and clickety like last time. It's a little softer now because you see that little O-ring is probably hitting just on the liners. But still, nice clickety, no detent lash. Same over here. You can see that over here. Let's see. Nice clickety, right? So this one doesn't have really bonus flick. It would be nice. Can I get in there? So, I think I can do it. Hold on. Yeah, I can bonus flick this one. Yeah, maybe I did that last time. Hold on. Yeah, there we go. So this has bonus flick with a flat, it's almost a full flat grind, comes right up there. So right this little part right here, it's just flat enough and has enough of an angle. I can get in there and go kind of do that. So, you know, and because it's, you know, a liner lock, a liner lock, I can do it left-handed as well. So you have bonus flick on both. So I think that's cool. All right. I like the fact you have thumb studs and flipper. I love multiple deployments. By the way, I can still do the full blade bonus flick on this one too, which is nice. Again, this is such a big blade. This is not something I would normally carry. It's almost ridiculous in size for me, but I know some of you guys love big blades, cold steel. This is a cheap alternative. I'm telling you. Don't get me wrong. Cold steel has some great deals out there, but I mean, for what you get for this thing, this is nice. This is nice. You can get past that detent if you know, I do that with my sheer Gorf. It has, usually it's on the ramp and stuff. So you can figure that out. Again, you can make this work for the price you can, but would I pay now, if this was 48 and they fixed all those things, it'd probably be a 55, 58, maybe $59 knife. Would I pay $59 for 14C28 with this beautiful contoured scales, with a clip that maybe is not as much, a little less billboarding on there, some weight relief in there, and a nicer, easier axis liner? Yes, I would. Absolutely, I would. Yes, I would. I think they're also going to come out with 154 cm, some other knives. I think they're looking at making some maybe a little more premium knives too, which is, I think is cool. All right, so that's the materials. Open and closing, pretty good. Thumb studs work really well. Flipper works really well on this one. It closes well. Like I said, late double clutch is my only it kind of bugs me a little bit, right? The double clutch. So that's my only issue over here. This one over here, it's pretty good, pretty good. Everything about this one is, I like this one more. I mean, it's a nice size. It's my size. Now, I've got big, large hands with big, meaty fingers. So extra large hands with big, meaty fingers probably can fit in there. This would be equivalent to a extra large hand with regular size fingers, double extra large hands with thinner fingers, right? So that's about your grip right there. So you're all going to be around the same area. Okay. All right. So we talked about that. We talked about the blade. This one is not a full flat grind. You have flat up there. This is definitely a more beefy workhorse, but it does have a thin tip, so be careful. It's not a pry bar, but it'll definitely do cutting, right? So if you're out there and you're hunting and you're in the woods and you're trying to cut some trees and some branches, some kindling, I mean, it'll be a good tool. 14C28, it's a good solid budget steel. Really, really nice for what you get here. Typically at this price range, I would, a lot of people do D2. So 14C28 is really welcomed and nice. So I do appreciate that. All right, so let's do some measurements on this guy here. Let's do some weights and measurements. Let me get my scale over here. I'll put this off to the side. A little dust on there. So, all right. So what are we looking at here? So the little guy, we're looking at a 4.3 ounce knife. Not bad, but a lot of that weight's going to be from the liner. This one's going to be way heavier. 7.5 ounce. I mean, it's a big boy. It's a big boy. If you like big, beefy, heavy knives, this is definitely it. It's not a small knife. We'll get the length here in just a second, but yeah, these are not little guys. All right. So this one is more durable at 4.3 ounces. So let me get my measuring here. So the little guy, overall length on this guy is going to be right at 7 5/8. So 7 5/8 overall. Your grip area is going to be 3 and I want to say it's almost 3 3/4. If I go to the very tip, yeah, it's 3 3/4. So like I said, pretty decent amount of room here. I'm not over the edge, so I'm okay. I'm thinking extra large, big, meaty finger hands, you could get in there pretty well, right? All right, so overall, the blade length, you're looking at 1, 2, 3. So 3 3/8 of an inch from the tip to the handle. Cutting length, you're looking at, it's just shy. So 7/16. So yeah, so it's 3 7/16, just shy of 3.5, right? All right. So over here for this guy, you're looking at 9 9/16. Yeah, 9 9/16. That's big. Your overall handle length right here is definitely 4.5. You definitely can choke up on this one. I mean, look at this. I mean, I could put almost 3 more fingers on there. So big guy, big hands, yeah, for sure, right? So the choking, you have 5 3/8. So yeah, plenty of room. I mean, this is a Shaquille O'Neal type of hand knife. All right. Overall blade length, going from the tip to the hilt there is about 4 1/4 of an inch. Overall cutting length is just right at 4 1/8 of an inch, right? So over 4 inches, definitely a bigger knife for sure. All right, so let's look at the blade stock thickness here. Surprisingly, for as big as these guys are, I feel like the blade stock thickness is not ridiculous. All right, so let me get the dust off of here. So let's look at the little guy first. We're looking at one that's, so this one is 121 thousandths of an inch. It's pretty even all the way through. Yeah, 120 thousandths of an inch. So to me, that's very reasonable for this size knife. Now, this is a big one. So let's see what are we at over here. 118 thousandths of an inch. Let's get over here. 120 thousandths of an inch. So it's pretty consistent. 120 thousandths of an inch. So it might be just a little thinner. I don't know. Maybe because they're polishing it for where it's in there. So it's about 120 thousandths of an inch. Pretty consistent blade stock thickness on both. Some of these bigger knives tend to have bigger blades, but it's nice. So this, technically for the size of the knife, I think it's slicey, right? For this one, it's okay. It's got a full flat grind. It does come down to an edge. I like the long edge on this one. It's definitely going to be a slicer, right? 14C28 tends to strop up and sharpen pretty nicely, so I do like that. All right, so what is a category? These are, I have a budget category, but I've created a new category, I think in 2024. I'm going to call it my super budget category. And these guys fall into my super budget category for knife range. I did some 704 tactical this year, and they're definitely in my super budget category. I had a Remit, one that I checked out earlier this year, and that one was my super budget category. So are these. Under 50 bucks, or around 50 bucks or less, that's my super budget category. Anything under $100, up to $100, but under $100 is my budget category. So they fall into the budget category, but they're really super budget category, right? And which means that I feel like you're getting a lot of bang for the buck. I mean, these would be good in the budget category, in my opinion. 14C28, G10 scales. I like all of that. This is unique. This is nice. You don't normally see a little extra like that. And I think that's what makes this pretty cool. All right. Purpose, EDC, hard use collection piece. I don't consider super budget or super budget category collection pieces. You could make anything a collection piece you want. It's your knife collection. You do what you want, right? But what I think about this is these are the kind of knives I can buy, I can abuse, I can break, I can destroy, I can leave out in the rain and get rusted, or we can get left somewhere if I'm hunting, camping, whatever, and I can replace it, right? So that's, to me, is why it's not a collection piece. But it is just a nice, it's a great EDC knife. I feel like you're getting a lot here, I think hard use as a liner lock can be, right? So, we use the right tool for the right job. If you're going to be trying to cut timber, wood, things like that, get a fixed blade or an axe, right? Use the right tool. But if you're in a pinch, this will work. This will work. I feel like this could be definitely hard use all day long in a warehouse, in a yard, in the garden, around, breaking down boxes, whatever you're doing. I think it's a good hard use, right? Likewise, this is definitely bigger. So it could definitely be hard use. I find bigger knives a little harder to wield for me personally, but I think the target audience of this knife, I think you're going to like it. Having reviewed some other gigantic knives, knowing how people love them, and appreciating it for the intended audience, I like it. I like it. This is more me knife. This is definitely not more me knife, but I can appreciate it. I think for the price you're getting here, I'm not disappointed. Let's put it that way. All right. Again, I've given you my criticism. I think weight relief on the liner lock, a little less tip on the clip, right? I think better cutaway for the liner lock access, I think would be helpful. I think that late clutch, the double clutch there, would be cool if you could make that a little earlier. Likewise over here. And if any of those things are issues for you, you're not going to like it, right? But again, I'm looking at the range, the cost of what you're getting for this knife. I can live with a lot of that. I really can for what you're getting. Likewise over here, the clip needs to be a little deeper. The access for the liner lock is brilliant. Just a little weight relief, I think, would go a long way. And a little extra, one extra line of jimping, at least one extra line, because I can tell you in the unboxing, I did do that a little bit. And when I've handled it since, I've done that. And sometimes you can get right on the tip where your finger's a little more sensitive. You hit that and you go down and it's like, it just digs in. It's not comfortable. It's not comfortable, right? So that, you get a knife that gets uncomfortable for a few times, your body gets conditioned and it's like, you just don't want to carry that. Just recently, this is a BladeBinge and Crispy Donut community exclusive, right? And they put the jimping all the way out here. You see how the jimping's all the way out there? If I catch on the very tip, I can still clip it. It's easy. I'm not going to be uncomfortable. Now, this is a more premium knife. S90V blade steel, titanium scales. Don't get me wrong. It's even a titanium clip. It looks very similar, but this is titanium. You get more, you pay more, you get more, right? And likewise, if you're going to do more things like this, it's going to cost more. Again, $36, $43.20 with the RNK code. Save 10% off. You go to their website. I'm happy with it. I think it's great, right? So for the prices, I'm okay with that. For an EDC use, hard use, this is one of those knives I can just abuse and use and then replace. So I absolutely think it's a hard use. I like the fact that the blade is solid. This is well made. I've had some cheaper knives I've handled that this looks cool. It works fine after a little bit of use. This is not as solid. And you can tell, I don't know if the steel is just really cheap and it's not meant for long-term use. I've been handling this quite a bit. Been doing a lot of flipping like this. I've been sitting, sit at the desk. I usually take one of these knives and I'm sitting there in meetings when I'm on mute and I'm just doing this all day long, right? And I'm just kind of getting a feel for, what's going on here with the knife, right? And then after a while, if there's going to be some breakdown, if there's going to be some issues with the knife after a while, low blade rock, things like that start to creep in, and no, this one's solid. This one's solid. Now, this one's a little harder for me to do that all day long for a couple of reasons, right? Because I got the big meaty fingers. I don't have real strong, I can still get to this thing here, push it over. I didn't tune this because, some people like a really crisp detent, and these are going to be giveaways. So I'm not going to abuse and abuse these knives. I'm not a destruction test guy. If you're looking for that in a knife, there's great other channels. I can recommend some of them. But I'll tell you, for everyday use and how I use the knives, I think these knives feel really solid. I think Molsect is here to play. They're here to be competitive. And I think I love the fact there's more competition. I do. I love Civivi. I love We Knives. I love QSP. I love Kubi. I love who am I forgetting here? There's quite a few out here. I love Kaiser. I love Concept. I love Riot, Bestech, all these different companies. I love them all. And I love the competition because everyone pushes the envelope. And I love the fact that you can get some great budget bangers out there. I don't normally do budget banger reviews, right? It's not typically my thing, but I like checking out new ones. I like checking out something that's new, that's different, that's never been out there. Like Civivi, they had that new Brian Brown design. That was cool. That's a great one. It's a little more expensive. You're looking $70, $80, right? But you get more. But $70, $80. I mean, you can get more out of these if you're willing to pay more. And I think they're going to be doing some 154 cm, so they may be doing some higher. I hope those higher end ones take these little things into account so that they do well. Because I think if they do, they will do well, right? But I like this. I like this a lot. All right, so overall, what are my overall thoughts on the overall design? Overall, the looks and aesthetics are pleasing to me. Very, very pleasing. This is, when I think of a big knife, this is what I think it should look like. I don't know about you guys, but this big old giant Bowie looking kind of knife here, because it's a Bowie, it's not a clip point, it's got a little, this is a Bowie knife, right? So I like the look. If I want a big knife, this is like a big old Bowie fixed blade. This is what it feels like, but it's got more. It's got the texture, it's got things, and I like that. I like that. I love the fact it has a lanyard loops. For some people, that's really important, maybe in a big knife, especially if you've got gloves on, you're outside, so that could be important for you guys, right? It's got a big clip. Definitely work on that, so that'll work nicely. 14C28, I think it's fantastic. The close is not bad. Once you get past that double clutch, it does close well. It opens really nicely with the thumb studs and the flipper, work really well for a big knife once you can get past that double clutch. So yeah, I think that's cool. The little guy here is my favorite. It's really my size, right? This is, if they have a premium version of this, yeah, I would like to maybe have that in my collection. Problem with when I have knives like that, I tend to give them away just because, it's just what I do. Unless it's one of my collection piece knives, right? Those are collection piece knives. They stay in my collection. But usually if I'm given anything, most of the time I'm going to end up giving it away, right? If I don't, here's the deal, right? I've been given some knives before. I end up, if I have another knife from the same company and they gave me something, I might give another one that I paid full price for away because the other one I like more. And I feel like that's fair, right? They gave me something. I feel like it should go to you guys, but I should give you something of equal value. Now, if I really like the knife, I want to carry it, I think that's reasonable, right? I'm still giving something awesome away, right? So that's what I do. Whether you agree or not, I just want you to know that. I also want you to know that when I'm giving these knives, they don't pay me to give them a good review. They don't pay me to do that. I mean, if they paid me and I sold out and gave, I would not talk about the liner lock axle. I wouldn't talk about the weight. I wouldn't talk about the double clutch. I would make it like, oh, it's perfectly fine. It's just like a shear gore if you can get past it. I wouldn't talk about a little weight over here. I wouldn't talk about the clip. And I say, oh, it's nice and it's slim. It's made to be blah blah blah. It's got a little weight in the back and it feels solid. Makes you feel. You can try to sell all that and be like, oh yeah. But I'm being honest. So if any of those things bother you, maybe this is not for you, right? That maybe it's not for you. But having mentioned these things, I will tell you, Molsect took those to heart and said they were things they're going to work on. So here's the thing. You like the look of it, but some of those things are important. Hang around. Look for the newer versions of these guys. They may address those things. From what I gather, they will address those things, okay? So I can't guarantee it until I see it. But from what I've heard from them, and they seem pretty reputable, you can only take people at their face value, until they prove they aren't truthful, right? And these guys have not given me any indication to be that they're not truthful. So I'm looking forward to seeing their new versions. This is their first, iterations of these knives. They've got several others. These are the ones I really like that stood out to me. There's some other aesthetics out there, not quite my cup of tea. And I'm going to be honest with you. I don't typically like reviewing stuff that really I think is ugly. I have a bias, and I'll be straight up with you. If they ask me what are the ones I like, these are the two I picked out. And I said, I think these two are cool. And they are cool. They are really cool. And some of the other ones, I would be distracted by their looks, right? I've checked out some knives that are really funky. Now, there are usually some custom, fantastic knives, and the quality just blows you away and some of the stuff, and the ingenuity is really cool. I get that. I get all of that. There's just some designs I can't get past if they're like meant to be an everyday kind of budget, appeal to every kind of day person, because I don't see the logic there, right? That's just me, okay? So, take everything with a grain of salt. I am a person who goes by my experience, what I like, and I try to be honest with you why I come to this conclusion. You can agree, you can disagree, your call, right? Totally fine with that. So, what do I think about this? What's the fidget factor? Okay, so fidget factor on this one, personally, because I have got the bonus flick on here. Let me get there. I got to get a little low. You go, wait, hold on. Where am I there? Okay, there. Come on. Why am I not getting? What is going on here? Is my finger just a little dry? Let's see. Yeah. Okay, my finger's a little dry. It's getting nippy here. And yeah, there we go. I was doing this really nicely earlier. Okay, so, hold on. Why am I? Okay, my fingers probably, can I do it left-handed? Yeah, there we go. All right, so maybe I'm tired because I'm flicking these guys a lot, but I got bonus flick. And I know I was doing this quite regularly. There we go. Yeah, all right. So what is it? Do I need to? There we go. Okay, so I got to push down, push in and out. So yeah. So you just kind of figure out how the bonus flick works. It works differently on different knives. And I will tell you, the liner lock detent, the detent is pretty strong. If I kept this knife, personally, I would lighten the detent just a hair. It would still be crisp, because it's got a nice crisp, deployment with the flipper. Some guys, they want it even crisper. And some people, this would be unacceptable to be less. And if that's you, then leave it as is. But I would tune it just a bit lighter, and I would do it mainly because access to the lock bar here, though it's great, it's a hard push. It's a hard push, and I can't get a majority of my finger on there to kind of distribute the weight out because it's still thin. So I would lighten the detent just slightly. Doing that would make this more comfortable, but it would also make this bonus flick more comfortable. So I'm mentioning all that because I'm going to give this one. The flip is great, but it's missing a flick there, a little thing there, and that's caused a slip. So as it stands right here, this is going to get a 3. It's going to get a 3 because it has the bonus flick. But I took off 1 because the line of jimping, to me, that's tough. I'm willing to give it a little extra because of the fact that it has, I know I could tune that and it could be really phenomenal. So it gets a 3. This one over here, you do have a nice flipper. It's huge. You got 2 thumb studs, right? That's nice. And, oops, it's so big. I have bonus flick, and the bonus flick works really brilliantly on this. And it works well, both hands, left hand, left, right hand. So, but it's just such a big blade. So taking the factor that it's so big and awkward for my, I have large hands with big meaty fingers, but they're short, stubby, little stubby fingers, right? Because of that, this knife is more challenging for me. And it's really not a knife more for my ergos. But understanding for whose ergos it might be, I'm going to give this one a 6. This one absolutely gets a 6. So thumb stud, flipper, bonus. Yeah, so absolutely 6. So what is my fidgety goodness on this one over here? My fidgety and see, I just did it. I just slipped. Do you see that? Do you see that? My fidgety goodness on this one is going to be, it's a nice crisp flipper. And once if I can tune this and get that beautiful reverse flick going, I suspect this is going to be like an 88. It's going to be a B+. Absolutely a B+. You put a little extra line of jimping on there, I think you'd be an A, maybe even A+. I really do. And that's not bad for a super budget knife. I think that's pretty phenomenal, right? I think that's pretty phenomenal, but I'm going to give this a solid B+. All right, as far as this one over here, this was a 6 out of 10. As far as that 6, what do I think this one is? Well, this works well. The liners makes this a little uncomfortable for me. So that, it's going to knock it off a little bit. The thumb studs and everything else work really well. So really the only negative that I have on this one is going to be closing it. And so that does take away. I'm going to give this one an A-. This one gets an A-. Had it had that sort of liner access like that one, this could have been an A+. I mean, for a super budget knife, I mean, you get that kind of little, you know, liner lock access right there on this one. This puppy right here, I think it could be close to 100, but it's an A-. I'm gonna give it a 90. So this gets a 90 on this one. Are these recommended? Yeah, I think for the price of what you get, I'm gonna recommend these. Take into account the things that I pointed out. If some of those things are important to you, it may not be for you. So, you know, go back and see, you know, is that extra little line of jimping there? Is that super critical? Is the weight important? Is the clip important, right? Those are things that are going to be important to you. Is the weight, the clip, and the extra line of jimping on this one. Otherwise, I like this one the most between the two. Over here, is this little cutout going to be important to you? Is the weight on this one, again, going to be important? Is the double clutch hitting right there where the flipper's all the way in? Is that important to you? Right? Is this sticking out a little bit important to you? I don't know. If any of those things are important to you, then this may be out. But if you can live with that for $43.20, I think this one with the RNK code, and this one is $36 with the RNK code right now, as of this video. What they're listing on their prices, I'll have the links for each of these knives down below in the description. For each of these knives, I mean, yeah, they're recommended, absolutely recommended. But remember, these are super budget knives. I recommend super budget knives, not for you. If you're going to be, is it this? It's not this. This is a premium Kubi-made knife, S90V, titanium, blacked out, titanium clip, you know, scales, everything like that. It's got all sorts of features and, you know, a lot of little details, extra milling, everything, weight relief in here. This is very different, right? This is very different. Just like, even though this is a budget version right here, this MKM right here, this one, a Vox designer on this one right here, this is also different, right? It's also different. Just likewise, if I'm carrying like my smock, that's a different knife as well. Those are all different. This is super budget. I think it's a recommended knife. I do. And it'd be a great gift knife. It'd be, you know, especially you got some friend who's giant hands. There you go. Got some friend who has, you know, not so giant hands. This is nice too. As a first knife for somebody, I think it would be absolutely fantastic. So let me talk a little quick before I get into this. I want to show you, you get the paracord. It did come with a paracord in there, and you can make that for a lanyard loop. It comes with a cool little Molsect, like a pin you get there, a little magnetic pin. Looks like that's magnetic, yeah. You get a nice little sticker as well with this. I think the case that they come with is pretty nice. It's not your traditional little zipper pouch. I think that's kind of cool in the nice little box here. So that I think is kind of cool with a little hologram. So just so you know, that's what you get with each one of these. I think that's pretty stinking cool. I don't know. All right. Hey, what are your thoughts on this? Is this totally out for you? Maybe you're not a budget guy. Maybe you're like, I just can't spend. That's not going to work for me. And that's fair. That's fair. You know, if you're a person who likes nicer knives, maybe this is not for you. But if you're a person who likes budget knives, or if you want to give a nice gift as a budget knife away to somebody you know, there you go. I think it's worth your consideration. And I pointed out the things that I've liked and the things that I kind of had issues with. I don't know if any of you guys actually own one of these. Let me know your thoughts. I'd love to hear your thoughts down below as well. Thank you to Molsect for giving these knives. These will be future giveaways, so just look forward to seeing these in the future giveaway on the Monday Night Lives, right? And again, thank you to Molsect Knives for allowing me to check these out. I'm looking forward to their next iteration. I think they're working on a newer one, more premium one. I hope I get one of those as well, because I would very much love to check that out. I'm excited to see where these guys are going. Yeah, I think this could be cool, right? You see other companies who started off like this, and they're just moving. I love to see improvements of knives, companies getting better and better, producing nicer stuff out there, and I think that's awesome. So yeah, very cool. All right. Hey, if you found this content fun, interesting, worthwhile, or informative, would you please consider hitting that like button down below? And if you've already hit that like button, would you please consider hitting that subscribe button down below? Subscribing and liking the videos really helps me out. It allows me to produce more content, do more things, ultimately do more things for you guys, like stuff like this. I appreciate that. I appreciate that. It allows me to do all of that. So, and if you haven't already, maybe consider hitting that notification button so you can be notified of future content like this video. Yeah. And a big shout out, big thank you to everyone out there watching these videos, enjoying the content, who's part of the channel, who enjoys comments, who's on the live streams. Thank you. Thank you to every one of you guys out there. I very much appreciate you. And also a big shout out to the channel members out there. I really appreciate you guys as well. You guys are like my workout buddies. You encourage me. I don't do this full time, part time. You guys keep me going. You really do. There's times that encouragement helps me just to keep going. So thank you. Thank you so much. And you also allow me to do things way sooner than I ever thought I'd be able to do because of your generosity. And because of your generosity, I want to be generous back to you. I do 2 exclusive things for channel members. I do a once a month members exclusive giveaway. It's a little nicer than a budget banger. Like this would be in the budget banger kind of realm, right? It'd be part of our weekly giveaway. One of these knives here would be really cool. Well, for the members, I try to find something a little nicer, it'd be equivalent to what I'm imagining their Molsect little nicer knife coming out would be, right? So that would be kind of what I'd like to do for the members. Yeah, that's my way to say thank you. And then also, I also like to give brand new channel members who've never had a sticker before, a channel sticker and a little thank you note. So if you're a brand new channel member, you were a channel member all along, or you were a channel member before and became a channel member now, as long as you're a channel member right now, you want to email me with your name and address, I'd love to mail you a channel sticker and a thank you note. It's my small way to say thank you. Thank you for supporting the channel. And if you all thought, hey, I'd like to become a channel member, I'd like to support the channel, I'd like to be part of that giveaway, I'd like a sticker. Check out the description down below. There's a link for 3 different tiers. Would love to have you, would be honored to have you as a channel member. But please don't ever feel obligated to do so. Totally your choice, right? Enjoy the content, even if you don't want to be a channel member. I am totally cool with that. Yeah, it's just my way to say thank you. Hey, and a big thank you to everyone out there. I appreciate you guys. If you haven't already, check me out on Instagram at robs_nerdy_knives. Again, that's on Instagram at robs_nerdy_knives. Thanks so much for watching. Have a great day and a great week.